All right. Hi and welcome. This is Vicki Draper, author, certified healer, and animal communicator with healingyouranimal.com, and also podcast creator of Animal Messages, What Your Animals Want You to Know. And today I have with us Jennifer Cunningham with Scissor Hound. She's a professional groomer, and welcome, Jennifer.
Hello, thank you.
Okay, so this is episode 25, and um, so grateful for you to be here. So, episode 25, you are particular about your haircut experience, so am I. And so, with that, um, can you tell us how long you've been a groomer?
Oh my goodness. I started grooming in 98. So I thought this was my 22nd year, but I think it is my 22nd year grooming dogs.
Okay.
So that is a long time. And I love it. I love what I do.
Yes, yes. So the reason I wanted to interview you or have you on is because in talking with you, we're just such an alignment in how we approach our animals and in our work. And so you with your dogs and your grooming, and not all groomers are created equal. So would you please share a little bit about kind of what your style and what you do, and kind of what sets you apart, why the animal and how the animals respond.
Absolutely. I think what is most important in the way that I practice grooming is to have individual attention. I think it's very important for animals to know who they're working with. You get a rhythm going, and that really matters, and really connecting. If it takes me an extra half hour, 40 minutes on the first or second time I groom a dog, I know that's time well vested for our future appointments to go much smoother. And that's generally the case. So it's the small things at first that may take a little extra time initially that matter the most for a long-term relationship, which is what you would like to see with your groomer.
Yes, yes, because I know some that they're in and out, they're on this timeline because they've got to get to the next appointment, and that's from my teaching, when you're stressed, the animal is stressed, so that's not providing the best calming conditions. And so how do you treat that when you get a dog that comes in and they're scared? And I'm understanding you don't have other dogs waiting, so it's like they come in and then they go. So that's one uh, distinction that makes it more calm. Okay.
Yes.
And so then what are some other things that you do as a groomer that would help them have a more pleasant experience?
I think in general, meeting the dog where they're at. If the dog is very high on your energy scale, you want to kind of meet them where they're at and then slowly bring them back down to the energy level that is going to be workable. So if I get, say, a pretty high energy Yorkie that has never been to me before and they're spinning around on the table, I sit there and I play with them for a minute. I'll feed them treats, I'll rough around, I'll let them play and get to know my energy. Once you meet them where they're at, if that's calm, if it's nervous, if it's excited, you meet them where you're at, and then you can mesh your energies together and generally meet in the middle somewhere. Not always. Yorkies are a good example for the high energy ones. Say they'll spit it on the table, and then we'll play, and then I'll set my hands on them, and I'll start to just let them know that, all right, now we're going to start working, and we go from there. High anxious animals I kind of do the opposite. I'll sit with them in my lap on the ground for 5 or 10 minutes and let them know that they're not going to be forced into proceeding if they're not comfortable. Now, there's of course a limit on that. There are things that need to get done within reason. I really want the dog to understand and be comfortable with whatever next step that might be coming. So that's how I initiate things.
Nice. As you're talking, I can envision as you're helping them, you're probably like showing them the comb or the brush or the clippers, and helping work with them about the next step that's coming. And with the animal communication that I do, that is so important. The animals, they really know and they really respond. And so that goes a long way if we just stop and tell them what's happening. Just forcing and expecting them to step up or be there. They're still going, wait a minute, whoa.
Wait, what are we doing? Grooming's very unnatural, right? Like we're asking them to do all of these very odd movements and nail clipping and let me look in your ears and spray you with water. It's very unnatural for a dog unless they've been groomed a lot. Then they're like, okay, this is normal. But I tend to treat all new clients like a brand new puppy, like they've never experienced grooming before. And I can have more compassion that way, right? Like they've never experienced this before. Let's see where they're at. And it goes well, right? I have a very good relationship with my clients, my furry clients. So it's good.
Yeah, so and that's why, because you're meeting them at their level, you're taking the time and patience and understanding where they're coming from, and really providing the environment to let them, you're building the trust. And so they're trusting you, and then you're able to do the grooming, and it's a much more pleasant experience for both of you. And so you have a lot of love and compassion, and I can feel that through the computer here with our, and so I know in person with the animals, that's coming through, and that makes a big difference.
It does.
It really does. And so that just warms my heart. We need to get the word out there to more groomers and the grooming industry about how this could transform the animal's experience. I mean, I know because that's what we're there for, to have the animal have the best experience and look good and be hygienic. And
and I know one of the things that I really look for, if I've done my job well, even with a first time client that came in nervous, anxious, prior bad experiences, those are the ones that I love to see the turnaround, and you can see it really, really quickly. A dog comes in and they're really nervous of you, very unsure. It takes a while to warm up. And by the end of it, they're coming back and giving me kisses and their tails wagging, and they're happy to see their parent. Those are the things that say this was a successful trip to the groomers for me. There's no better compliment than a dog that's happy to come see me.
Exactly, because I have clients that they'll contact me wanting to get a groomer recommendation, and so I'm so glad that I have found you for the local clients, because that's what they'll say. They'll say, my dog was okay at the beginning, but now they see the truck as a mobile experience for this one case I'm talking about, and the dog generally loves friendly and outgoing, and this now is starting to back away and shy. It's like, I don't want to go out there, and it's the reaction keeps increasing each grooming experience. And so and I don't think she's a bad person or bad but there's something that Rocky's his name in this example, that there's something in Rocky's needs that needs to be met. And for him to be then, like you're saying, coming in and going, okay, let's do this. um, and
It
so,
matters. Yeah.
yes.
That to listen to your pet's response to a groomer is, I think, very vital to knowing where you're standing. Grooming's not a great experience. Like, most dogs don't love to get groomed, but they should love the person that they get to spend the time with. I still have dogs that are so happy to see me. They don't necessarily like grooming, but they're excited to see me, and they know that we're going to get through the situation together. If there's issues, we're going to work through them slowly. And for all the pet parents out there that are questioning, listen to your dog. What's your dog saying? And if you are concerned, if you like your groomer, but you are concerned that maybe your pet's response isn't as positive as you'd like it, just talk to your groomer. Does anything happen during grooming that they don't like? Is there any way that I can help you? I have a lot of pet parents hold their dogs for nails. I work by myself. They hold their nails. I Dremel. It's over, and they're happy, and we move on. Now, I could fight with these dogs for 10 minutes to do their nails. Just make it easy on yourself. See if there's anything that you could do to help your groomer have the best experience with your dog.
Yeah, I love that because this particular client with Rocky, that's what I was asking her to do and asking if maybe she could be in there for part of the grooming. And they generally don't like
Yeah.
people, the guardians in there, with understanding, because sometimes their animals will act up worse. But sometimes, as you're finding, that there are cases where it can make it better.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
discerning to know when that is. So I love that. So what other tips would you have for people that are suspecting or getting the signs? First of all, we should talk about the signs that their pet's not having a good grooming experience for the pet.
Um, you gotta watch for any of your basic signs of stress, panting, heavy breathing, cowering, all of those signs. Now, that doesn't mean that your dog's getting abused. It just means there's something going on in the process that isn't resonating fully with your animal. Some dogs, like brachycephalic dogs, you have to be very careful around water getting in their nostrils. That can give them a lot of anxiety. All dogs, you want to be careful. But brachycephalics especially are particularly sensitive to water and heat and air in their face. And so if you have a short-faced dog, find out what the process is. If you know that your dog is anxious for nails, see if can I help hold? Would that be of benefit? Um, I personally feel like you should always be able to see any facility that your animal is going into in all areas of it, the bathing, the drying. If you're not able to see any aspect of where your animal's going to be, I would wonder about that. It's not necessarily a red flag, but look a little deeper. Let's see here. If your dog is particularly lethargic after grooming, that's a sign, that can be a pretty sign of big stress. Now, puppies, we'll keep going back to this puppy thing. I 100% of times puppies, they're tired for about 24 hours after their first groom. That's very normal. I tell people to expect that, but to also watch for any signs of behavior change. If your animal is all of a sudden skittish, I would wonder why. Those are things that can symbolize, not always, that there was maybe a little bit of a traumatic event or a stressful situation that wasn't fully processed. Just like us, the animals very much hold their emotions in their body and in different places, and you can, with different things, work those out. But you got to be able to be aware that something went on. Where else was I going with that? So talking to your groomer and just getting a report, like, hey, how did they do? one of my favorite ways of saying that your dog didn't appreciate grooming very much was that they're opinionated about it. And I'll go into the different things and some of the different kind of my plan of action. So if a dog, they don't like their pads shaved. All right. And so here's my plan of action. We're going to do this for now. The pads might not look great. But I work with the owner and really try to communicate that I have a plan to try to help this scenario and this issue. There's some dogs that I can't take clippers to the feet. I still have to scissor, and that's them. But we've worked, we've tried, and that was the best way forward for that animal. And just knowing that your animal's being treated like an individual that they are, and it's not cookie cutter grooming. I think that really matters.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Well, I know from talking to the animals that have had the grooming experiences.
Yeah.
It does matter because, like you said, they're scared. It's not natural. They just want to know they're going to be safe, and they want to know what's happening. And you're right. There's a lot of loud noises, so there's a lot of just things that can trigger them. And so, being able to best support them through that. And like you said, I love the no cookie cutter because they're individual.
Yeah.
And some animals like their paws touched, and some are just not. Some of them they'll get used to it and it'll be fine, and some of them just never do. And so,
Yes.
you know,
just like us, takes all types.
Exactly. And so, so that's the key, really, is for a conscientious groomer is looking at the dog. In your case, some people groom cats too.
Yes.
At the animal, and it's a unique experience.
Yeah.
And then then the animals show you, because maybe they might not like the grooming. Well, that's not natural. That's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
then I do know they like the feeling good and prancing around afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they do. They love it. Oh my goodness. Heads high. And when their heads high and they go running out to meet their parent, it's the best feeling to be like, you look so good. And they know it. And you know you did your best, right? And
Yeah. And then,
that's what matters.
yeah, and then the fact that when they come back, they're happy to see you. They're happy to come back.
Yes.
And so they have not carried that you've done something bad to them.
Yeah.
You know, because your approach, it's like,
yeah.
Okay, I get this. I know what we're doing. And,
yeah. And then that's also where the consistency in your groomer, if you're taking them to a larger chain store, most of the time, and there's nothing wrong with those places, the groomers are educated. Most groomers love dogs. We love dogs. Now, as you know, just experience just takes time. It's not something that you can just get overnight. And that's where you learn to solve a lot of interesting issues that come up when working with animals. Say like a dog's trying to pull out of its leash, a young groomer may not know to just go low on the ground and then it slips out. You only do that once or twice before you figure it out. Hopefully just once. I was going somewhere with that and it's gone.
All right. So then, do you have some older animals that maybe they're arthritic and it may be a little painful? So, so what I'm hearing is you would meet them with where they're at. They can lay down or they can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually have harnesses. So I have this whole intricate harness system that I can hoist dogs up that either maybe they're bad for nails or maybe they have some arthritis and I'm not able to maneuver the foot as I need it to groom it properly. And so these harness systems are very affordable now and they work great. So if you can find a groomer that has the option of a harness system or somebody to hold, I don't have that option very often. So those are all great options, because a dog that is arthritis, I mean, they're gonna have limited mobility on how they can move their limbs. And if you exacerbate that or go past that point, you're causing that animal harm.
Mhm.
And that is not where we want to be as groomers. We want to do everything in our power to keep the animal safe and comfortable. And sometimes that means that my grooming isn't perfect. But the animal is going to walk away here with good feelings, as much as possible.
Yeah.
So
And then
options.
that's right. And then it sounds like you're working with the guardian so that they
Yeah.
understand if, in your term, it's not perfect by your professional standards.
Yeah.
You know, they may or may not notice, but if they are, you're explaining and working with it instead of making them try to stand a certain way to get the spots. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a saying in grooming that, of course, is eluding me right now. um, Basically, it's oh my gosh, I can like picture the meme in my head, but it's the words aren't there. But basically, we want the dog to feel good, not necessarily always look good, but it's all about how your animal leaves feeling. Because the rest, you can come back next week. I'm like, hey, this is, if maybe I have to leave a dog a little bit damp and the hair is gonna fluff out and I know it. I'm like, just bring them back by in a couple of days. I'll scissor that up, no problem. Always give options, but don't push yourself. Like, I think groomers, we're under a lot of pressure to get it done. You got to get it done. You got in big box stores, you got a lineup of 5 dogs behind them, and we just got to get it done. That type of stress and type of pressure is, I really hope to see a shift in our industry, from, because you can make just as much money with 1 dog, 1 groomer, maybe even more, because you're cleaning up less less extras. And the 1 dog, 1 groomer policy or bather, know how many animals, if your dog's in a groomer for more than 3 hours and it's a small dog, I would question a little bit. There's just not a lot of, 3 hours is probably pretty average. I get my average small guy goes in 90 minutes. In and out, 1 dog at a time. Most places don't operate that way, but if your dog's in there half the day, I had my sister picked up her dog from a groomer one time at 11 o'clock at night. And I said, oh, sis, oh no, that's, I would definitely be wondering what happened there. That wasn't a big oversight. So.
Yeah, because just the waiting, if there are other dogs waiting, and even though they're in kennels and they're safe, it's still stressful. Because there are lots of reasons. I mean, they're away from their home. They're also in here with other nervous dogs, and maybe there's one that's not as nervous, but the one that's really nervous then starts feeding the nerves to everybody, the scaredness. And
absolutely.
And so, yeah, having them wait in that environment is not a good start to the grooming, because the grooming is not, like you said, a natural experience anyway. So, so a recommendation would be, if you can find a place that it's a short, if you can't do one-on-one grooming, find a place that has a short waiting time, so they're not in that wait even before or after for pickup.
Absolutely.
And so, what else is there?
So time waiting, very important. Just you yourself, the pet parent, as a pet parent, be comfortable with your groomer. If you're not comfortable with the person that you're handing your animal over to, then you can guarantee your animal's picking up on that energy. And if I sense any hesitation from clients, which I don't, I'm all word of mouth, so it's all very warm everybody, I kind of feel like I know everybody that already comes to me. And I think they feel the same. But if you're experiencing a new groomer, that you kind of go, ooh, don't do it. Get a different groomer. Just go with your feelings on that. Even if it's a place that you know, just your animal is going to do better with somebody that they're already know and comfortable with. There's a routine, there's an established way that everybody does grooming, a little bit different. But my dogs know that we groom the body and then we go to the face, which is very different than most groomers. It's just how I've found I like to do it. So I groom the body and I go to the face and then I do the legs, and that's the end of the groom. And so the undercarriage is the last bit of grooming that I do. And so the second that we go up and I scissor that underbelly, they go down to the table and they know they're done. They're done. And I usually put them down, let them shake, and bring them up to the table. And they're like, all right, a little bit more. But to have a regular groomer and a set amount of time between groomings, most dogs need to be groomed every 3 to 6 weeks. Puppies should get their first grooming between 10 and 12 weeks old. Not a full haircut. Bring them in, get nails done, trim the eyes a little bit, and then you bring them back in 3 weeks. And 3 weeks again after that's usually their first haircut. If you're going to wait until you're 9-10 months old on a puppy, oh, you've missed the mark. You've missed the mark. For a lot of developmental processes have already taken place, and now grooming's scary.
That's a really good tip. So, because in my massage, I teach them with their puppies to get them used to their paws being touched early on, so they can easily get the nail trims and not be a foreign thing. And then that's even the next best step, is take them in and have the grooming experience while, like I said, not a full blown, but at least get them in the habit, because they're going to
Meet
need
your
it.
groomer.
And it just really helps all that socialization. I love that.
Oh, it really does. Another puppy tip that I love, most men have little beard trimmers, right? And so you turn that on. You don't have to do anything, but you just put the little beard trimmer by them or on them and feed them treats. And so then they get very positive reinforcement at a very young age for that sound and the feeling of the vibrations. That works wonders. You do that once a week with a puppy from the time he's 6 or 7 weeks old, whenever you pick him up. No issues. No issues. That's a great one.
Nice. I love this. So, for people that would like to get in touch with you, let's share how they can do that. So if you are local to the Seattle area, so share where your practice is.
Yeah, so I work from home in Kingsgate, so kind of North Kirkland, Woodinville area.
Okay, and understand the best way to contact you is to call or text. So let's give them that number.
That's 425-652-6870. That's my cell.
So for Jennifer, getting in touch with Jennifer at Scissor Hound, call or text 425-652-6870. And I want to thank you for being here with us today. And you've given us lots of great tips and lots of great valuable information in selecting a good groomer and really paying attention to your dog's reaction. And I love that if you're having that gut feeling that something's not right, listen.
Yeah.
Listen, because your animal, your dog, in the case with your grooming, is precious. And if something's off, it's going to be off, and you don't want to have to then undo that negative experience.
Yeah.
And then that's where I could come in, though. If
yes,
if dog or cat has had a very traumatic experience, the work I do can help clear and heal and balance them so that it can turn grooming back into a positive experience, and clearly get you in line with a new groomer. um,
Yeah.
and there again, we're not saying anything's wrong with any of these groomers. It's just everybody is unique and different, and our animals are unique and different. So our animals are going to resonate better with some than others. And the fact is, there are groomers that aren't as conscious. They're on a job focused mission, and the ones that your dog is really going to resonate the best with are the ones that are going to treat them as an individual and feel special and uh, cared for, and their needs listened to during the experience. And so that's the big takeaway I'd like people to really take away from this. So is there another burning tip that, or any last words you'd like to share with people about their dogs with grooming or in general?
With grooming, regular, the more regular, the better for grooming. You know, like I said, 3 to 6 weeks is about your average dog's coats grow out about every 3 to 4 weeks, and really that's the ideal cycle. Every 3 to 4 weeks is when you would, even if it's just for a bath, some nails, having them on a regular schedule and getting them with a groomer not only that you trust, that your dog feels comfortable with. That is going to be a ticket to lifelong happy grooming.
Yeah, I love that. And so thank you, Jennifer, for being here and getting this important message out. And so I am Vicki Draper, author, certified healer, and animal communicator with healingyouranimal.com, and doing podcast episode 25 with animal messages, what your animals want you to know. And this is You Like a Good Haircut Experience, so do I. So uh, just love this, and thank you for being here, and
Thanks for having me.
thank all the listeners, and we will see you next time. Oops.